PCGamer have another article. Of course, this time Steve Mesner, Stephen, he's got a new job. He's not in PCGamer. So this time it comes to us from
Sarah James.
Yep. So I'll intro us in, and then I'll do my BRB. The first full year of Shadowlands has came to a close, and despite being a promising start, 2021 was a far from good year for Blizzard's MMO. Of course, covering this, and then we get into it, though. Obviously, pre-sales, great. Expansion, hype, rife. But concerns over Covenants, a choice you had to make at max level and one you couldn't easily change, were sticking points early on. It quickly became clear that Torghast, the new endless dungeon that rewards you with the resources required to make legendary gear, was unfairly balanced towards certain classes. In short, the power systems, Covenants, Soulbinds, Conduits, Renown, Legendary Gear felt like they were more numerous and complex than usual at the beginning of Shadowlands. This was made worse with the patch 9.1 patch, Chains of Domination, which arrived in June and risked trivializing the effort put into Legendary Gear over the previous 6 months. That's an interesting way to frame it. It's not really how I would frame it because it did open up that system in a way that made it better, but it also does mean if you grinded the first one out, fuck you. And that's the problem with all of these borrowed power systems that end up becoming the new requirement, but then your patch has got to add to the system, which means you then need to catch up with the system, which then means, oh fuck, all the work those people put in is now screwed, and it means some slacker bozo like me can come in and go, no, I'm up to speed, which feels pretty unfair. And just this whole thing of, play the patch, not the expansion, basically always means play the patch, not the expansion. By the way, why did you even bother playing the patch? We've just and then people say, for the experience. Then I say, yeah, but the grind that you had to do to be raid ready was really not fun at all. Look what they have to do in FF14. And I think some raiders are going to think along those terms, right? So, yeah. Points. Of course, if you don't care about the endgame grind, you're happily doing alts, collecting mounts, then most of these concerns have passed you by. I mean, the Animus system also wasn't that fun at launch, in fairness.
Yep.
But the reality of what most of us hoped Shadowlands would be versus what it gave us are starkly different. So, Matt, could you cover how is World of Warcraft right now?
Yes, it is complicated according to Sarah James.
Yeah.
It's just, man. It's such a bad time overall because as Sarah James points out, we're in the middle of the expansion. Players are falling away. There's no content to do, basically. Unless you, there's content in a way from grinding, but there's nothing to do, and it's so pronounced. Although, it's interesting that she goes in to say, but there's a lot to catch up on. We are 2 raids into the expansion, with a 3rd set to arrive the next patch. Those raids aren't actually relevant. Well, okay, right now, Sanctum of Domination is relevant. But, of course, Castle Nathra is nothing but a footnote. Nothing but a footnote. Unless you want a specific legendary, there's basically no point to do it whatsoever. And I think that looks to a general thing. And I think Sarah's overview, despite being a World of Warcraft player, it is very much designed to be, here's an overview that is consumable by the average reader of PC gaming so that everyone can, they're going to be looking up Activision Blizzard, they're going to be Googling it, they're going to find out. But to continue with what she says, many early inconveniences have been addressed, making it easier to catch up, so Covenants can be swapped easily, providing you've maxed out your renown on at least one character. And I think that's one thing I really find interesting, that it isn't really followed up on, but I feel like that's a substantial problem in and of itself, because how many of you haven't maxed out your renown? Because I know I still haven't, because doing weeklies is a pain in the ass, but I guess I'll get to that in a second. But you can unlock flying in Shadowlands zones, making it quicker, except you can't really in some of them, which doesn't make a bunch of sense. And then the leveling process being streamlined, I'll agree with that largely speaking. It's 120 to 60 and the experience nerf, but choosing the expansion zone and leveling up, based on how that's paced, it doesn't really feel like great content to me. Yeah, I see. I certainly haven't. I have not. I haven't. Nope. Players that want to grind renown to 80, yep. Yeah, see, it's not a hard grind, but it is a grind that doesn't really serve any particular purpose. I mean, it does, but yeah. It's just, it's brutal. It's honestly brutal to me. It's tedious, but yeah. Nope, I'm done with grinding. Yeah, Kiki Spot. I guess that's kind of the problem where it's not really been addressed in this, but you know, that's how World of Warcraft is right now, according to Sir James. I think it's a little bit how do I put this? It's a little bit basic in its overall interpretation, but I guess it's for the specific audience. So then talks about what's been happening recently. The Community Council, fantastic. I don't want to be too mean to it because it hasn't seen major results yet. And every time I look at it, it's like there's not a huge amount that's sort of been improved as a result. And it doesn't look like there's a massive amount of engagement. But at the same time, they are kind of busy at the minute. So I'll cut them a little bit of slack for Community Council until we see its results in the next expansion, sort of. Obviously then, the Mage Tower Return to Legion Time Walking. Yeah, I solo challenge mode, tuned to specific classes. Huge hit during Legion. Returned with the Legion Time Walking event, but it didn't return in great form, and it didn't return forever, so...
I had fun with it while I was there.
Yeah, it was fun, it was great, but it was still like kind of a problem. And then Eternity's End hit the PTR December 2nd, so that's a decent rundown of what's been happening recently, and it's not really been a huge amount. But I guess that's just the case where I was saying when you were gone, the fundamental point of this isn't to be like a really deep look into the game for people who play the game. It is very much intended to be you're looking up Activision Blizzard right now because Microsoft fucking bought them. Here's how one of their core properties is doing, by the way, in a way that you'll understand and isn't bogged down with a bunch of language. So it's definitely a basic look overall, but
this matters.
Yep.
This is what
matters.
This is what the potential customers see.
Yep, exactly.
And that's bad.
Exactly.
Because I don't think this is going to have a high conversion rate to paying WoW player.
Yeah, that's the thing where if I were an investor reading this, I'd be like, this doesn't seem very good very much. This seems a bit But
yeah.
Then we got, I guess, to the important bit, which is, are the players happy? In a word, no. Article finished.
Done.
Yeah, Shadowlands has highlighted some of the big issues concerning the end-game grind and the many systems and currencies you need to feel effective. I think that's the problem, where it is just, like, seeing this...
Feels an important word, and I've always said it is emotional intelligence. It's like emotionally intelligent game design that is the bit they mess up. You know, they do theoretical problems, they do spreadsheety problems. It's the emotional bit. How it feels, that's what matters.
I feel like just seeing this explained in a way that's really, I don't want to say generic, but I mean, you know, for a target audience that isn't specifically deep inside it.
A Destiny player really could see this and bam, they know.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Where everyone's go, oh, systems, well, that doesn't sound very good. I don't like the sound of that. Oh, whoops. And that's what was on the front page of PCGamer. Almost like the same, the two times I think it was Messner had a piece. One of them was about Shadowlands, and one was about him giving up on it, I believe. And this is just another one where it's the third one in the last, I guess, 12, 13 months, where it's just, look at this, you're getting big public views on your game being bad.
Front page feature.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's a front page feature for a reason. PCGamer obviously knows it does well.
Yep. And they actually, it wasn't even just World of Warcraft. They did the same for Hearthstone.
Yeah,
and it was, what was it? I can't remember what the headline was. The State of Hearthstone in 2022. Too many things or something along that line. So, not good, but.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so as it goes on then, 7 months since the last significant patch, 9.2 is on the PTR, but it's frustrated people with the reveal. You'll need to grind a faction's new reputation in order to hit revered. There's the messy management. The PTR has resulted in PCGamer having a negative forward-looking sentiment for the immediate future of the game. That's great. It's a balancing act Blizzard has struggled with recently. Yeah. You want to be able to do everything in-game, and you want to feel like your character is progressing and getting stronger in a fun way. What you don't want is to feel like you're being weighed down by endless time-gated power systems, meaning you risk falling behind if you can't log into the game for 1 or more days. And it's just game feel. Like, FF14 will make me feel bad less. Even if it was to somehow give me less reasons to play, my sentiment would be higher and I'd be a more retained user.
Yep. I think that's one thing they just don't get.
Yeah. When's the next big update happening?
Yes.
Eternity's End is the next big update. No official word. PTR since December, usually 2 months, in PTR before they come out. General consensus is February or early March. Yep. Just, a bit of a recap. If you're a new player looking to take the plunge, there's over 15 years of content to explore.
Is there, though? Yes, but...
It's like, yeah, you talk about FF, you're like, it's 10 years of content to do. And that is I think a more viable statement in that game because of how their systems are made, how the content ends up getting designed.
Mm-hmm.
With WoW, it doesn't feel like that as much. I mean, certainly, it means that by the time I interact with that story, it's like, holy fuck, wow, look at how it builds. Whereas in WoW, it's just like, stuff. We haven't designed our game stuff to be complementary to each other, so it's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing where I think it was very... Maybe I'm reading this a little bit. Maybe it was carefully chosen to say there's over 15 years of content to explore, because exploring and engaging with or doing certainly feel different in just terms of verbs in my mind, where I definitely would never say there's 15 years of content to do, but there's 15 years of content to look at and see and wistfully think, man, I wonder if this was good back in the day. I think so anyway.
Yeah, so to finish off then, whether it can recover remains to be seen. Surprise news may help. Did redeem itself after WoD. So technically there is some hope for the future. And because we're about to do the final raid, we'll probably get a new expansion reveal soon. Because most of the time, when we do the final raid, or no, what am I on about? Often when we do the final raid, it's pretty close to when we find out. Or in some cases, like with Wrath of the Lich King, we already know the Cataclysm's coming because ICC came out the start of December 2009? Was it the 6th of December? The 9th of December?
No way. Was it?
I think so.
Let's find out.
Maybe. Is my memory.
Yep, December 8th, 2009.
8th! Ah, it was between them balls.
Yeah. Well, that was the patch day.